Hi guys, Scott Woodward with you, and welcome to part 2 of round 23, where we're going to cover the Saturday, Sunday and the Monday games. First up, we have the Warriors versus the Knights at Mount Smart Stadium. Warriors are 11 from 20 and the Knights are also 11 from 20, and both these teams look like they'll finish 7th and 8th at the moment. For the Warriors to avoid 8th position and look like they'll play the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne, they probably need to not only win this game, but they need to win it by a fairly big margin. The Knights have a significant edge over the Warriors at the moment on for and against. So they would want to win by around about 15 to 20 points and hope they can make up the rest of that over the next few weeks. But look, I don't think it'll be an easy task. I think the Knights have been going really well in recent weeks, and they've got a lot of variety, and they bust tackles better than most teams in the competition. And the Knights, the Warriors I should say, give up a lot of tackle breaks more than any other team. So just on that stat alone, the Knights certainly have got a great chance. But look, the thing about the Knights here is their starting hooker, Isaac de Gois, he has had some injury problems, and I wouldn't expect he'll be playing very long minutes here. And I think what will happen is that, although he's not named, I think young and the very promising Peter Minichiello will come in and play fullback as soon as Isaac has had enough, and Captain Kurt Gidley will go to the number 9 hooker position, and that's the way they go. Now, I think that's terrific for the Knights. I think that'll give them a good buzz when the captain moves up front, and Matua will give a lot of thrust from the back there, and he's played in that position before, also in the centres and the wing, and he looks to be a very promising player. The Warriors are on track. They've been in terrific form. They're strong all over the park. Not quite sure what's happening with Lewis Brown. He keeps being selected 18th man again this week. As far as I'm concerned, he's one of the best players in the team, and he was a star for New Zealand when they played Australia early in the year. So I don't know if that's a coach problem. I don't know, but certainly from an ability-wise, he would be in my team every week. He can play in the back line. He can play in the forwards. A terribly valuable player. So I'll be surprised if he's left out. But it just shows the strength that the Warriors have got, and they're in great form. Young Shaun Johnson looks like he's blossoming as we expected he would, and he looks like he's going to be in that number 7 shirt for many, many years to come for not only the Warriors, but I would expect New Zealand at some stage. So to me, look, at the prices on offer, I can only be on the Knights and give the start away. I don't think there's much between these two teams, and I wouldn't want to give up any start. So if I can get any start here, particularly as there's rain forecast and there's wind forecast, so any start will be a good start as far as I'm concerned. The other game that we have on Saturday, the Eels versus the Sea Eagles, probably not that attractive, this game. It's being played at Parramatta Stadium. The Eels are only 5 from 20 this year, but they've had a lot of close losses. And the Sea Eagles are obviously 15 from 20, and they're flying high. You might remember that the Eels just went down to the Sea Eagles not that long ago. So they certainly know how to combat the Seagulls, and they have a good game plan that the Seagulls can struggle with. But just simply where the teams are at the moment, you'd have to think that this will be an easy win to the Seagulls, just based on the class. And, you know, I look at the Eels back line, and there's not a lot of guys there that can tackle. And they've got 2 second rowers in the centres. That'll just give you an idea of the problems that they've got. But they're 2 wings. Massive problems as far as I'm concerned. As we know, Manly like to swing the ball out wide, and they know how to use their wings. Speaking of the wings, Manly have got some few problems from injuries as far as that's concerned, but they have like 4 world-class wings. So if 2 are down, it's not a problem. They just bring in another 2, and it doesn't seem to upset the balance of the side. Will Hopewate is probably the guy that is causing the most concern at the moment. But he's very easily replaced, as good a player as what he is. I don't think that will be a problem. Probably Tony Williams may come in and replace him, although there's a little doubt on him. But good to see George Reyes starting this week with King out for the year. To me, that's like for like, and I think George Reyes actually offers some more second phase play, and I don't think that will upset the structure too much for the Seagulls. One of the things about them this year is they have got fantastic depth. I wouldn't like them to have to replace their fullback, Brett Stewart, or Dale Cherry Evans. Anyone else gets injured, I think they can cover, and I will include their number 6 in that current forum. So to me, with the short back up for the Eels, it should be an easy win for Manly as far as I'm concerned in that game. Other game that we have on Saturday, the Titans versus the Storm. A little bit tricky this game because I'm not quite sure what Bellamy's going to do with the Storm. He's got some big games coming up, and the Storm are scheduled to play the Premiers, St George Dragons, in Melbourne next week, and no doubt that that's a game that the Storm have got slotted down as a must-win game. They will want to be making a stamp on the Dragons coming into the semi-finals for that game, and they will want to be full strength. And this is an ideal opportunity for them to rest some of their gun players. Cameron Smith, Billy Slater, I certainly would be resting them if it was me in this game. They are certain to finish first or second, which is all they really have to do, and they look good things to be minor premiers. So they don't need to risk these star players, and without them, they're not going to go very far in the competition. So I'd be very, very careful about giving away a very big line in this game. And if you can get 17.5 point start, and we can be confident that Greg Bird will play. There's a little injury cloud over him at the moment, but if he does play, and if LaFranchi does play, a little injury cloud over him, I'd be more than happy to take the 17.5 start. The Titans, look, they've had an awful season, and they are going awful, but 17.5 points start at home when the Storm may not be full strength, and they'll be thinking about St George next week. I'd be happy to do that every week. But I don't want to get too heavily involved in games like this, but certainly that is the only thing that I could be doing in this game. Raiders versus the Rabbitohs is the next game up, and we now move to Sunday, and freezing cold conditions are expected for this game. But the Rabbitohs are just going terrific. Considering they've still got two world-class forwards to come back into the side, they certainly look set for a very good season next year. The Raiders have got some injury problems, in particularly their champion fullback, Josh Dugan. If he doesn't play, I think it'll be a cakewalk here for the Rabbitohs. I think the Rabbitohs will win regardless, but Josh Dugan ran yesterday being Thursday, so he may very well play. He has a hand and an ankle injury, but look, he's such a valuable player. The Raiders are gone for the season. I've got no idea why they'd even risk him. He's just too valuable a player. I certainly wouldn't be playing him. Jared Creagh, a little injury doubt over him. Also over Alan Tongue, another injury doubt. And the Raiders are already down on hookers. They don't have any backup hookers left in the club. So crucial that Alan Tongue does play for them. Little injury doubt over Bronson Harrison. So you can see the Raiders have got a lot of injury problems. And while the Rabbitohs had a lot of injury problems during the year, a lot of their players are back now. And they're on a roll, and the brand of football that they're playing, if they're allowed to get onto that roll, and we get to see the class of guys like Greg Inglis and Nathan Merritt, I think it could be carnage here for the Rabbitohs, and I think they'll be winning pretty easily. Very disappointing in the Raiders for the year as far as I'm concerned. Next game that we have the Dragons versus the Roosters, played at Wynn Stadium. Look, the Roosters got an awful record against the Dragons under any circumstances, but this has been played at Wynn Stadium, and the Roosters have just had another awful week off the field. We seem to be saying that a fair bit, but they've lost 3 of their star players because of well-publicised reasons, and obviously that's not going to do them any good. The Dragons have lost Mark Gasnier. Kyle Stanley will come in for him, and I think Kyle Stanley could be every bit as good as what Mark Gasnier is by the time he retires. So I don't see that as a big problem for them. Little question mark over Jamie Soward. You'd certainly want him to be playing if you're taking the big minus in this game. I don't want to get involved in games like this. The Roosters are gone for the season. I would expect that the captain, Braith Anasta, will come in and play 6 in place of Todd Carney. I would expect that probably Brad Takarangi will go to left second row. Aidan Guerra will drop back to lock forward, and I would expect Tommy Simons will come in and play right second row. That would be the configuration that I would guess would be for the Roosters, but it doesn't really matter what they do. I think the Dragons, despite the fact they haven't won too many games in the last couple of months, I think they'll be back on a roll after this weekend. They love playing the Roosters. Sharks versus the Bulldogs. This is played on Monday. This is our final game for round 23, and it's a nothing game. It's a dead rubber, and from a financial point of view, always a worry getting involved in dead rubbers. But look, the Sharks have. I think they've picked quite a good side this week. We're assuming Paul Gallen will play. mail is that he probably will play. He hasn't run all week, but that's what he does. For me, the interesting thing for this game is going to be the Sharks' Jeremy Smith, who'll be coming up against Frank Pritchard. Frank Pritchard and Jeremy Smith they play similar positions, and I would think that they would both be willing to tour at the end of the year in the Four Nations and play for New Zealand. So I would expect that they'll be aiming at each other in this game, and I think that will be an interesting sidelight for the game. Good to see young Albert Kelly back into the list for the Sharks. I think he's very promising. I think he's improved his game under the new Sharks coach enormously, and I think he's a part of the plans going forward for the Sharks. Ben Roberts comes in for the Bulldogs. Mickey Payer's onto the bench. Jason Bakuya is also back in the good books for the Sharks, as is Nathan Gardner and Isaac Gordon, the very speedy Isaac Gordon goes onto the wing. So it's not a badly balanced side for the Sharks. As I said, it's a nothing game. I don't want to do anything with it. Looking forward to seeing a couple of the clashes. But looks an interesting round for me. At the prices on offer, I think probably the South Sydney Rabbitohs are probably the best value for the round for me. So there it is. I hope you have a great week and looking forward to talk to you soon. Cheers.